The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most cities. Thousands of seats filled the space, each one made for a different kind of alien. Some seats held crystal beings that looked like walking diamonds. Others had gas clouds that changed colors when they talked. Metal robots sat next to plant-like creatures that moved slowly and spoke in whispers. In the center of it all stood a small platform. Today, a human woman walked up to that platform. Her name was G1, and she looked calm as she faced the crowd of aliens. She wore a simple blue uniform with the Earth symbol on her shoulder. The aliens had been waiting for this meeting for weeks. Strange reports had come in from all over the galaxy. Human ships were leaving their posts. Human workers were packing up and going home. Human scientists were taking their research with them. Nobody knew why. G1 reached the microphone and looked out at the crowd. The hall became quiet. Even the gas beings stopped changing colors. Everyone wanted to hear what the humans had to say. "Friends of the Galactic Council," G1 began. Her voice was clear and strong. "I come here today to make an important announcement. After 300 years of working together, humanity has made a decision." The crystal beings started to glow brighter. The robots leaned forward in their seats. The plant creatures rustled their leaves nervously. "We are leaving the Galactic Council," G1 said. "This decision is final. Starting today, Earth and all human colonies will no longer be part of your organization." The hall exploded with noise. Aliens jumped up from their seats. Some screamed in languages that sounded like breaking glass. Others made sounds like thunder or rushing water. The gas beings turned bright red and orange with anger. A tall crystal being named Veltar stood up. His voice rang out like a bell. "This is impossible. Humans cannot just leave. You have contracts. You have duties." G1 waited for the noise to die down. Then she spoke again. "We have read all our contracts very carefully. There is nothing that says we must stay. We joined the council by choice 300 years ago. Now we choose to leave." Another alien stood up. This one looked like a giant octopus made of metal. "But why?" it asked. "We have been good to humans. We gave you technology. We gave you planets to live on. We made you part of our community." "Yes," G1 said, "and we are grateful for that. But we are grown up now. We do not need parents anymore. We can take care of ourselves." The gas being called Zixandra pulsed with angry red light. "You cannot survive without us. Human technology is weak. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are simple. You will die out there alone." G1 smiled. It was not a mean smile, but it was not friendly either. "We will see about that." Far away on Earth, Director Minho sat in a big room full of screens. Each screen showed a different part of space. Some showed human ships moving between the stars. Others showed space stations where humans worked. All of them showed the same thing: humans packing up and leaving. Next to Minho sat Chief Engineer Nari. She was looking at her own set of screens. These showed things the aliens could not see. Secret shipyards where humans had been building new kinds of ships. Hidden research stations where human scientists had been working on new technology. Underground factories that had been making weapons and tools for years. "How are we doing?" Minho asked. "All ships are ready," Nari said. "All stations have been evacuated. All our people are safe. The aliens never saw any of it coming." Minho nodded. "Good. How long did we work on this plan?" 50 years of serious planning," Nari said. "But we started thinking about it almost from the day we joined the council." On the screens they could see the council meeting. G1 was still standing at the microphone, still calm, while aliens shouted at her. "The humans are too weak to survive alone," screamed a lizard-like being. "You will come crawling back to us in a year." "Maybe," G1 said. "But maybe not. You see, there are things you do not know about humans. Things we never told you." "What things?" demanded Veltar. "You always said humans were good at fixing problems," G1 said. "You always said we were good at making peace between different groups. You always said we were creative and smart. But you never asked yourselves a simple question." The hall became quiet again. Every alien was listening. If humans are so good at solving problems, Jiwan said, what do you think we have been doing for the last 300 years? Some aliens began to look worried. The gas beings turned from red to yellow, which meant they were confused. We have been solving the biggest problem of all, Jiwan continued. How to become strong enough that we do not need anyone else to protect us. How to become smart enough that we do not need anyone else to think for us. How to become free. A robot being stood up. Its voice sounded like grinding metal. You cannot hide advanced technology from us. We scan all human ships. We inspect all human stations. We know what you have. Jiwan's smile got bigger. You know what we showed you. Did you really think we would show you everything? Back on Earth, Nari laughed. They have no idea what we can really do. Show them, Minho said. Nari pressed a button. In the council hall, the air above Jiwan began to shimmer. A hologram appeared. It showed a star map of the galaxy. On the map, red dots marked where human ships were supposed to be. Blue dots marked where they actually were. There were no red dots and blue dots in the same place. Every human ship had moved. But the aliens had not noticed. Their sensors still showed humans where they were supposed to be, not where they really were. Impossible, gasped Veltar. Our sensors cannot be fooled. Your sensors see what we want them to see, Jiwan said. We have been testing this technology for 10 years. You never knew. More holograms appeared. They showed human space stations that looked empty to alien sensors, but were actually full of people. They showed human ships that looked like old, simple designs, but were actually built with advanced technology the aliens had never seen. For 300 years, you treated us like children, Jiwan said. You gave us simple jobs to do. You told us we were not ready for advanced technology. You said we needed to prove ourselves worthy of your respect. The aliens were starting to look scared now. Even the biggest and strongest ones seemed smaller somehow. So we proved ourselves, Jiwan continued, but not the way you expected. While you watched us do our simple jobs, we were learning. While you taught us your basic technology, we were inventing our own advanced technology. While you thought you knew everything about us, we made sure you knew nothing important. Zixandra pulsed with confused colors. But we are allies. We are friends. Why would you lie to us? We did not lie, Jiwan said. We just did not tell you everything. Parents do not tell their children everything either. But children grow up, and when they do, they leave home. Minho stood up from his chair on Earth. Around him, humans in the control room were cheering quietly. On every screen, human ships and stations were moving to their new positions. The great evacuation was almost complete. Signal all ships, Minho said. Begin Phase 2. Jiwan looked around the council hall one last time. Many aliens were crying now. Others looked angry. A few looked impressed despite themselves. We do not hate you, she said. We learned much from you, but we are not your junior partners anymore. We are not your students. We are not your children. We are equals now, whether you like it or not. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. It looked like nothing special, just a simple metal cylinder. But when she pressed a button on it, something impossible happened. Jiwan disappeared. She did not use any transporter technology the aliens knew about. She did not fade away slowly like their teleporters worked. One moment she was there, the next moment she was gone. She left behind only empty air and the sound of aliens gasping in surprise. High above the council hall, invisible to all their sensors, a human ship waited. Jiwan materialized on the bridge, still smiling. Take us home, Captain. Hyun, she said. Yes, Ambassador, the captain replied. All ships report ready for departure. Then let's go, Jiwan said. We have a new life to build. The ship turned and flew away into the darkness between stars. Behind them, the Galactic Council sat in stunned silence, finally understanding that everything had changed forever. 3 days after the humans left the council, Inquisitor Thisahai got the job nobody wanted. The snake-like alien was known for finding secrets. Her long body could slide through small spaces, and her many eyes could see things others missed. The council leaders gave her one mission: find out how the humans had fooled everyone. HFY started her investigation at Kepler Station. This was a big space station near the edge of human territory. For 50 years, humans had run the station with help from other species. It was supposed to be a symbol of cooperation between different kinds of beings. When HFY's ship arrived at Kepler Station, she found it completely empty. The lights were still on. The air was still breathable. All the machines were working perfectly. But there were no humans anywhere. She slithered through the empty halls with her team of investigators. They were a mixed group: crystal beings who could analyze any material, gas creatures who could smell traces of chemicals, and robot beings who could connect to computer systems. "Check everything," HFY ordered. "I want to know what the humans took and what they left behind." The team spread out through the station. What they found made no sense. The humans had taken all their personal belongings. They had taken all their research data. They had taken all their advanced equipment, but they had left behind a fully working space station. In the command center, HFY found a note stuck to the main computer screen. It was written in simple, galactic, common language. "Thank you for letting us use this station. We hope you enjoy it. Captain Do-hyun, station commander," HFY hissed with frustration. She called her crystal investigator over to the computer. "Can you find out what data the humans deleted?" The crystal being touched the computer with one of his hard fingers. His body began to glow as he connected to the system. After a few minutes, he stepped back, looking confused. "Inquisitor," he said, "they did not delete anything." "What do you mean?" "The computers still have all the station operation data. They still have all the maintenance schedules. They still have all the supply lists, but..." "But what?" "All the advanced research is gone. All the new technology projects are gone. It is like they only took the things that belonged to them, but they took them so completely that there is no trace left." HFY's forearms crossed in thought. "Show me the research labs." They went to the science section of the station. Here, humans and aliens had worked together on new technologies. The labs were clean and empty, but all the basic equipment was still there. Microscopes, computers, basic tools, everything a new research team would need to start working. But the advanced equipment was gone. The quantum processors that could solve impossible math problems. The nanofabricators that could build things smaller than atoms. The dimensional sensors that could see into parallel universes. All gone without a trace. They planned this very carefully, HFY said to herself. Her gas investigator floated over, pulsing with excitement. "Inquisitor! I found something strange in the storage areas." They followed the gas being to the station's storage section. Here, HFY found rows and rows of supply containers. All of them were full of basic materials: food, water, air, fuel, spare parts for common machines. The humans left enough. Supplies to keep this station running for 10 years, the gas being said. But look at this. The investigator led them to a special storage area that had been locked with advanced security. The lock had been opened, but not broken. Someone with the right codes had opened it properly. Inside, they found empty spaces where advanced technology had been stored. But there were also boxes full of older technology, things the humans had used years ago but had replaced with better versions. HFY picked up one of the devices. It was a communication unit, but it was much more advanced than anything the aliens had seen humans use before. "Wait," she said. "If this is their old technology, what does their new technology look like?" The team continued their investigation. They found more and more evidence that the humans had been much more advanced than they had admitted. Hidden workshops where they had built their own equipment. Secret storage areas where they had kept supplies the aliens never knew about. Advanced computer systems that had been disguised to look like simple machines. On the second day of investigation, HFY got a call from another investigator team. They were at Proxima 7, a military base where humans and aliens had worked together on defense projects. "Inquisitor," came the voice over the communicator. "You need to see this." HFY took her ship to Proxima 7. The base was on a small planet covered in red sand. Like Kepler Station, it was completely empty, but perfectly clean. The base commander, Admiral Suki, had left her own note. It was stuck to the wall of the main command room. "The base is yours now. All systems are working. Good luck with your future projects." Admiral Suki. But this base held bigger surprises than the station. In the main hangar, HFY found empty spaces where 3 prototype warships had been kept. These ships were supposed to be joint projects between humans and several alien species. The aliens had provided the basic design and materials. The humans had provided the engineering and construction work. Now all 3 ships were gone. How did they move 3 huge warships without anyone noticing? HFY asked her team. The robot investigator connected to the base computer system. After scanning the data, he had troubling news. According to the records, he said, the ships were moved for routine maintenance 3 weeks ago, but the maintenance facility they were moved to does not exist. What do you mean it does not exist? The computer shows a maintenance facility at coordinates 447-223-891, but when we scan those coordinates, there is nothing there. Just empty space. HFY felt her scales crawl with worry. Check the departure records for all human ships in the last month. The robot's eyes flashed as he processed data. Inquisitor, according to official records, no human ships left this base in the last month, but our security cameras show dozens of ships leaving every day. That is impossible. How can ships leave without being recorded? I do not know. The cameras show them leaving, but the computer systems show them staying. It is like the humans found a way to fool our automatic recording systems while still letting the cameras see the truth. Over the next week, HFY visited 12 more human facilities. The pattern was always the same. Clean, empty buildings with all the basic systems working perfectly. Polite notes from human commanders thanking everyone for their cooperation, and evidence that the humans had been far more advanced than anyone had realized. At Research Station Delta, she found laboratories where humans had been working on problems that alien scientists thought were impossible to solve. Dr. Inha, the human scientist who worked there, had somehow learned to control gravity. There were marks on the walls where heavy objects had floated in the air, but all the equipment and research data were gone. At Communication Hub Gamma, Professor Kyung had been working on faster-than-light messaging systems. The aliens thought this technology was just a theory that might work someday, but the empty lab showed clear evidence that working prototypes had been built and tested. All the prototypes were gone now, along with all the research notes. At Medical Station Beta, human doctors had been working with alien healers to develop new treatments for diseases. But HFY found evidence that the humans had been developing medical technology far beyond what they had shared with their alien partners. Treatment devices that could heal injuries in minutes. Diagnostic tools that could detect problems before symptoms appeared. All gone. After 2 weeks of investigation, HFY returned to Council headquarters. The leaders were waiting for her report in a secure meeting room. Representatives from all the major species sat around a large table, their faces showing worry and fear. "What did you find?" asked Councillor Veltar, his crystal body dim with concern. HFY unrolled a long scroll covered with notes and pictures. "The humans have been lying to us for decades," she said, "maybe centuries." The aliens around the table began to make worried noises. The gas beings turned pale colors. The plant creatures rustled their leaves nervously. "How bad is it?" asked Admiral Corvex, the robot military leader. "Very bad," HFY said. "Everything we thought we knew about human capabilities was wrong. They have technology we have never seen. They have weapons we did not know existed. They have been preparing for this departure for a very long time." She showed them pictures from her investigation. Advanced machines disguised as simple tools, hidden workshops built inside normal-looking buildings, secret storage areas filled with supplies and equipment. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a picture of the empty warship hangar. "They built 3 advanced warships using our materials and our money, but the ships were not built to our designs. They were built to human designs that are far better than anything we have." "How much better?" asked Zixandra, the gas being now a worried gray color. "Our warships have thick armor and powerful weapons," HFY said. "The human ships appear to have something else entirely. I found test data suggesting they have shields that can bend space itself. weapons that can fire through dimensions, engines that work in ways our physics say are impossible. The room became very quiet. Finally, Counselor Veltar spoke up. "What do you recommend?" Admiral Korvax stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the biggest fleet the Galactic Council had ever assembled. 200 ships from 12 different species floated in formation around his command vessel. Crystal ships that looked like flying diamonds, gas-being vessels that were more like controlled clouds with engines, metal robot ships covered in weapons and sensors. "We cannot let the humans just disappear," Korvax had told the Council. "They know too much about our technology. They have taken too much of our equipment. We must find them and bring them back." Not all the Council members had agreed. Some thought it was better to let the humans go. But fear had won in the end. Fear of what humans might do with their stolen technology. Fear of what other species might think if the Council looked weak. Now, Korvax was leading the greatest hunting expedition in galactic history. "Navigation officer," he called to one of his robot crew members, "do we have a trail to follow?" "Yes, Admiral," the robot replied. "Human ships left quantum signatures when they departed. The trail is faint, but we can follow it." "Good. Signal. The fleet. We follow the humans wherever they have gone." The massive fleet began to move. It was an impressive sight. Ships of every shape and size working together. Some were as small as houses, built for speed and scouting. Others were as big as cities, carrying thousands of crew members and enough weapons to destroy planets. For 3 days, they followed the human trail deeper into space. The trail led toward the edge of the galaxy, toward the empty darkness between star systems where no one ever went. "Admiral," called his science officer, "the trail is getting stronger. We must be getting close." "How close?" "Based on the quantum signature decay, I estimate the humans are less than 1 day ahead of us." Korvax felt satisfied. His fleet was faster than any human ships he knew about. Soon they would catch up to the fleeing humans and force them to return to Council space. On the 4th day, they found something impossible. "Admiral," shouted his sensor operator, "I am reading a massive structure ahead." Korvax looked at his main screen. There, floating in the empty space between galaxies, was a space station bigger than anything he had ever seen. It was clearly human in design, but it used architectural principles that made no sense. Parts of the station seemed to exist in the same space at the same time. Sections appeared to be connected, even though they were miles apart. "How is that possible?" Korvax asked his science officer. "I do not know, Admiral. Our computers cannot even properly scan the structure. It appears to exist in multiple dimensions at once." As the fleet got closer, they could see human ships moving around the station. But these were not the simple, slow, human vessels they remembered. These ships moved like living things, curving and dancing through space in ways that should have been impossible. "Admiral," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Station Commander Junho of New Terra Station. Welcome to human space." Korvax activated his communicator. "Commander Junho, I am Admiral Korvax of the Galactic Council Fleet. By authority of the Council, I order you to return to Council territory immediately." There was a pause. Then Junho's voice came back, and it sounded amused. "Admiral, I am afraid you have no authority here. You are in human space now, but you are welcome to visit our station if you would like to talk." "I do not need your permission to go anywhere," Korvax replied angrily. "This fleet represents the combined military might of 12 species. You will surrender immediately or face the consequences." "Admiral," Junho said, his voice still calm, "I should probably mention something important. You are already surrounded." Korvax looked at his sensor displays. They showed nothing but empty space around his fleet. "Your lies will not save you, human. My sensors show no ships in this area except my own fleet and your station." "Check again," Junho suggested. Korvax ordered his sensor operators to run a full scan. The results were the same, nothing but empty space. Then something impossible happened. Ships began to appear around the Council fleet. Not gradually, like ships coming out of faster-than-light travel. Not slowly, like ships removing camouflage. They simply appeared as if they had been there all along but invisible. Within seconds, Corvex's fleet was surrounded by 50 human warships. These vessels were unlike anything in the Council's databases. They were sleek and predatory, like spaceborne sharks. Their hulls seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. They moved without visible engines, gliding through space as if the laws of physics did not apply to them. "How is this possible?" Corvex whispered. His science officer was frantically checking his instruments. "Admiral, our sensors still show nothing. According to our equipment, those ships do not exist." One of the human ships moved closer to Corvex's flagship. As it approached, a communication channel opened. The voice that came through was calm and professional. "Admiral Corvex, this is Captain Una of the human vessel Prometheus. I hope you understand now that you are not in Council space anymore. You have 12 hours to return to your own territory." Corvex activated his own communicator, his voice shaking with anger. "I demand an explanation. How do you have technology that our sensors cannot detect? How do you have ships that can appear and disappear at will?" "Admiral," Captain Una replied, "let me ask you a question. When human children joined your schools, did you teach them everything you knew? When human workers joined your companies, did you share all your trade secrets? When human scientists joined your research projects, did you give them access to your most advanced laboratories?" "Of course not," Corvex said. "Humans were not ready for advanced knowledge. They had to prove themselves worthy of our trust." "Exactly," Una said. "So why do you think humans would be any different? Why do you think we would share our best technology with you before we knew if we could trust you?" The truth hit Corvex like a physical blow. "We mean that for 300 years you have been seeing our training equipment, our practice vessels, our basic, simple tools that we let alien children play with while we worked on our real projects in private. Around the Council fleet, more human ships were appearing. Some were small and fast, darting between the larger alien vessels like angry insects. Others were massive, floating fortress ships that made even the biggest Council vessels look small. "This is impossible," Corvex said, but his voice had lost its anger. Now he just sounded confused and scared. Captain Una's ship moved even closer. As it did, Corvex could see that the human vessel was not just invisible to sensors. It was somehow existing in the same space as his own ship without colliding. The two ships occupied the same location while remaining completely separate. "Admiral," Una said, "your people spent 300 years treating humans like stupid children who needed to be protected and guided. You never asked yourselves what would happen when those children grew up." Corvex looked at his tactical displays. His fleet of 200 ships was surrounded by human vessels that his sensors could not detect, could not target, and could not understand. For the first time in his long military career, he felt completely helpless. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "Nothing," Una replied. "We want you to go home and leave us alone. We are done being your junior partners. We are done being your students. We are done pretending to be less than we are. But you cannot survive out here alone. This is the space between galaxies. There are no resources, no trade routes, no allies." "Admiral," Una said, and now her voice carried a hint of pity. "Look around you. Does this look like a people who cannot survive?" Corvex looked at his main screen again. The human space station was not just big. It was a city floating in space. He could see lights in thousands of windows. He could see ships coming and going from dozens of docking bays. He could see construction vessels building new sections even as he watched. "How many humans are out here?" he asked quietly. "Enough," Una said. "More than enough." For the next hour, Corvex tried everything he could think of. He offered trade, agreements. He promised the humans better treatment if they returned to Council space. He even threatened to call for reinforcements from the Council's main battle fleet. To everything he said, Captain Una had the same answer. "Admiral, you have, 11 hours to leave human space. After that, we cannot guarantee your safety." Finally, Corvex asked the question that had been bothering him since he arrived. "Captain Una, why are you being so patient with us? You clearly have superior technology. You could destroy my fleet, easily. Why do you give us time to leave? Yuna was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Because we remember what it was like to be weak, Admiral. We remember what it felt like to be afraid of stronger powers. We do not want to become the thing we once feared. But you are warning us to leave. Yes. Because while we do not want to hurt you, we will not let you hurt us either. Humanity is done being anyone's victim, Admiral. We are done being pushed around by people who think they know what is best for us. Korvax looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all staring at the screens, watching the human ships move through space like ghosts. None of their instruments could explain what they were seeing. If we return to Council space, Korvax said, what happens next? Do humans plan to attack the galaxy? Do you plan to conquer other species? We plan to live our own lives, Yuna said. 1 year had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council, and the galaxy was falling apart. Ambassador Dabin sat in his office aboard the human diplomatic ship New Dawn, reading the latest reports from Council space. Every day brought news of new conflicts, failed governments, and collapsing trade networks. The aliens had not realized how much they depended on human mediation until it was gone. The Vorthak Crystal Empire was at war with the Neph Gas Confederation over mining rights in the Spiral Arm region. Without human diplomats to negotiate compromises, both sides had escalated to full military conflict. Crystal warships were shattering gas-being vessels, while gas-being ships were poisoning crystal worlds with toxic atmospheres. The Technari robot, Hegemony, was dealing with massive rebellions in their outer territories. Their advanced computer networks, which had been stabilized by human-designed algorithms for decades, were crashing regularly. Without stable communications, they could not coordinate responses to the uprisings. Dozens of smaller species were forming new alliances or declaring independence from larger empires. Trade routes that had been managed by human logistics experts for centuries were breaking down. Planets that had relied on human agricultural techniques were facing food shortages. Sir, came a voice from Dabin's communication system. We are receiving another priority message from Council space. Who is it this time? Dabin asked. Counselor Veltar of the Vorthak Empire. He says it is urgent. Dabin sighed. This was the 15th urgent message he had received this week from various alien leaders. Put him through. The crystal being's image appeared on Dabin's screen. Veltar looked different than he had a year ago. His usually bright crystal body was dim and cracked with stress lines. His voice sounded desperate. Ambassador Dabin, Veltar said, I am contacting you on behalf of the Vorthak Empire to request immediate human intervention in our conflict with the Neph Confederation. Counselor, Dabin replied calmly, as I have explained to your previous messengers, humanity is no longer a member of the Galactic Council. We do not intervene in council affairs. But people are dying, Veltar exclaimed. Entire worlds are being destroyed. The Neph are using weapons that dissolve our crystal structures. We are using sound cannons that shatter their gas forms. This war will not end unless someone stops it. Dabin looked at the data on his screen. The Vorthak Neph war had already claimed millions of lives and destroyed 12 planets. It was a tragedy, but not one that humanity had caused. Counselor, Dabin said, you have many other species in the Council who could mediate this conflict. Why do you not ask them for help? Veltar's crystal form flickered with frustrated light. We have tried. The robots say it is not their concern. The plant beings move too slowly to keep up with the situation. The gas beings are related to the Neph and cannot be neutral. The insect species do not understand our crystal biology well enough to suggest solutions. I see, Dabin said. And what would you offer humanity in exchange for our mediation services? Offer? Veltar looked confused. But mediation is what humans do. You always helped us before. Yes, Dabin agreed. When we were junior partners in your organization, we provided many services for free. But we are not junior partners anymore. We are an independent civilization. If you want our help, you must offer us something of equal value. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke again, his voice much smaller than before. What would humanity want from us? Dabin had been waiting for this question. He activated a holographic display that showed a detailed proposal that had been prepared months ago. First, Dabin said, both the Vorthak Empire and the Neph Confederation must formally recognize human independence and sovereignty. No more claims that we are rebels or deserters who should return to council authority. Done, Veltar said immediately. Second, both species must provide full technological exchange with humanity, not the basic information you use to share with us, but complete access to your most advanced research and development. Veltar hesitated. That would be sharing state secrets. Yes, Dabin said. Just as we shared our real capabilities with you for 3 centuries. Fair is fair. Third, Dabin continued before Veltar could object, both empires must establish formal trade agreements with humanity. Equal partnerships, not the patron-client relationships you offered us before. The crystal being was looking more and more uncomfortable. You're asking us to treat you as equals? No, Dabin corrected. We are demanding that you treat us as equals. The days when humanity accepted inferior status in exchange for galactic membership are over forever. Veltar disconnected the call without giving an answer, but Dabin was not surprised. The first response was always shock and refusal, but as the Vorthak-Neph war continued to escalate, desperation would overcome pride. 3 days later, Foreign Minister Soyon received a similar call from the Technari robot hegemony. Their regent, a massive artificial intelligence that controlled millions of robot bodies, was facing the complete collapse of their empire. Minister Soyon, the regent said, we require immediate technical assistance. Our networks are failing, faster than we can repair them. What kind of assistance? Soyon asked. Our computer systems were stabilized by human-designed algorithms. Without those algorithms, our networks experience cascade failures every few days. We need access to the updated versions of your network management software. Soyon smiled. Our current network management technology is quite advanced, much more sophisticated than what we shared with you in the past. We are willing to pay for access, the regent said. Payment is not enough, Soyon replied. We need partnership, full technological exchange, mutual defense agreements, trade relationships that benefit both species equally. You ask us to share our most advanced robotics and artificial intelligence technology? Yes, just as you asked us to share our most advanced networking and communication technology for decades. The regent was silent for several minutes, a long time for an artificial intelligence. We must consider this proposal. Take your time, Soyon said. But remember that every day you wait, your networks become more unstable. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Species that had treated humans as helpful junior partners were discovering that they had become dependent on human expertise. Without human agricultural scientists, some planets were facing famine. Without human logistics coordinators, trade systems were breaking down. Without human diplomats, old conflicts were reigniting. Captain Minsu received his orders. On a Tuesday morning, he was to take his ship Independence and return to Council space for the first official diplomatic mission since humanity's departure. The Independence was one of humanity's newest ships, built with all the advanced technology that had been kept secret for so long. It existed partially in normal space and partially in folded dimensions, making it impossible for alien sensors to fully scan or target. It could appear and disappear at will, travel faster than any known propulsion system, and defend itself with weapons that alien physicists insisted were impossible. As Minsu approached the coordinates for Council Station Alpha, he found himself escorted by a pathetic collection of alien vessels. Ships that had once seemed impressive now looked slow and clumsy compared to human technology. The escort ships were trying desperately to match Independence's movements, but their pilots could not understand how a ship could turn without changing velocity or accelerate without visible exhaust. Several alien vessels nearly collided with each other as they tried to keep up with maneuvers that defied their understanding of physics. Council Station Alpha, Minsu broadcast. This is Captain Minsu of the human vessel Independence. I am here for scheduled diplomatic talks. Captain Minsu, came the reply. You are cleared to dock at Bay 7. Please proceed slowly so our traffic controllers can track your movements. Minsu smiled at that request. His ship's movements were perfectly visible to anyone watching, but alien sensors could not detect the dimensional layers where most of the ship existed. To their instruments, Independence looked like a small shuttlecraft that somehow had the mass and energy output of a battleship. As he docked, Minsu could see crowds of aliens gathered at the station's observation windows. They were staring at his ship with a mixture of fear and amazement. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about humanity's technological achievements, but most aliens had not seen the new human ships in person. The docking bay was filled with alien diplomats, scientists, and military officers. All of them wanted to get a close look at human technology. Minsu noticed that they kept a respectful distance from his ship, probably because their sensors were giving them confusing and frightening readings. Ambassador Dabin met Minsu at the airlock. How are our friends in Council Space treating you? He asked. Very carefully, Minsu replied. I think they are starting to understand that the balance of power has changed. They walked together through the station corridors toward the main conference room. Everywhere they went, aliens stopped what they were doing to stare at them. Some looked angry, some looked afraid. Many looked confused, as if they could not understand how their former junior partners had become so powerful so quickly. Prime Minister Hana stood at the center of New Terra's main conference room, looking out at the faces of humanity's leaders. The room was built inside an asteroid that had been hollowed out and turned into the secret capital of human space. Through the large windows, she could see the construction of new cities floating in the darkness between galaxies. For 50 years, Hana had been one of the few people who knew the full truth about humanity's long-term plans. Now, finally, it was time to share that truth with everyone. My fellow humans, she began, her voice carrying to every human settlement through quantum communication networks. Today marks the beginning of our species' true independence. But before we move forward, you deserve to know how we got here. Around the conference table sat the leaders of humanity's secret projects. Dr. Taewon, who had been developing advanced technology in hidden laboratories. General Wu Jin, who had been building a military force the aliens never knew existed. Chief Scientist Hyerin, who had discovered the secrets that made everything possible. 500 years ago, Hana continued, human ships first left Earth and found other life among the stars. We were amazed and excited to discover that we were not alone. When the Galactic Council invited us to join them, we said yes, eagerly. We thought we were joining a family of equals. She pressed a button, and holographic displays showed the early days of human contact with alien civilizations. Pictures of human diplomats shaking hands with crystal beings and gas clouds. Images of human children learning in alien schools. Videos of human scientists working alongside alien researchers. But we quickly learned that the galaxy did not see us as equals, Hana said. We were the youngest species, the newest members, the ones who needed to prove ourselves worthy of respect. The aliens gave us simple jobs and basic technology. They told us we were not ready for advanced knowledge. Dr. Taewon stood up from his seat. He was an old man now, but his eyes were still bright with intelligence. I was one of the first human scientists to work with alien researchers, he said. I was excited to learn from them, but I soon realized they were not teaching me their best science. They were giving me textbooks while they kept their real discoveries secret. The holographic display changed to show Taewon's early research. Notes, page after page of careful observations and frustrated questions. Why did alien computers work so much better than the ones they shared with humans? Why were alien ships so much faster than the designs they gave to human engineers? I started to suspect that we were not getting the whole truth, Taewon continued. So I began my own research. I studied alien technology secretly, trying to understand the principles they would not teach us. What I found changed everything. New images appeared in the hologram. These showed Taewon's secret laboratory, hidden in the basement of a research station that the aliens thought was used only for basic experiments. In that lab, He had built machines that could analyze alien technology down to the atomic level. I discovered that alien technology was not more advanced than human technology, Taewon said. It was just different. The aliens had developed along different paths than humans. They were better at some things, but we were better at others. The problem was that they never let us show what we could do. General Wu Jin stood up next. He was a large man with scars on his face from his years as a soldier. While Dr. Taewon was studying alien science, I was studying alien military tactics. I worked with alien officers for 30 years. I trained with their troops. I learned their strategies. The hologram showed images of joint military exercises, human soldiers working alongside crystal warriors and robot troops, human ships flying in formation with alien vessels. Every exercise was a learning experience, Wu Jin said, but not the kind the aliens intended. While they thought they were teaching us how to be good junior partners, I was learning their weaknesses. I was studying their ship designs, their battle tactics, their communication systems. He pointed to a section of the hologram that showed detailed analysis charts. I realized that alien military doctrine was designed to fight other aliens. Their strategies assumed that all opponents would think and act like they did. But humans do not think like aliens. We do not fight like aliens. We have advantages they never considered. Chief Scientist HFY was the youngest person at the table. She had been born in space, raised in the secret human colonies that the aliens never knew existed. When she stood up, the hologram changed to show her greatest discovery. 20 years ago, HFY said, I made a breakthrough that changed everything. I discovered how to manipulate dimensional barriers. The hologram now showed complex mathematical equations that seemed to twist and bend in impossible ways. As HFY explained her work, the equations moved and changed, showing how space itself could be folded and shaped. Alien science is very good at working within the normal 3 dimensions of space, HFY said, but they never learned how to step outside those dimensions. Humans, however, have always been good at thinking outside normal boundaries. She gestured to the equations. With dimensional manipulation, we can build ships that exist in multiple layers of reality at once. We can create weapons that fire through folded space. We can make entire cities invisible by tucking them between dimensions. President Jiho, the elected leader of all human colonies, stood up last. He was a calm man who had spent decades planning for this moment. While our scientists and engineers were developing new technology, Jiho said, our diplomats and spies were gathering intelligence. We needed to understand not just alien technology, but alien psychology. How did they think? What did they fear? What would they do when they discovered our true capabilities? The hologram showed a vast network of information, reports from human diplomats, observations from human traders, analysis from human tourists who had visited alien worlds. Hundreds of years of careful intelligence gathering. We learned that most alien species think in very predictable ways, Jiho continued. They follow established patterns of behavior. They make decisions based on past experience. They assume that other species will act the same way they do. He smiled slightly. But humans are not predictable. We adapt quickly to new situations. We find creative solutions to impossible problems. We do things that alien logic says should not work. Intelligence Director Seo-jun activated another section of the hologram. This showed the vast network of human colonies and space stations that had been built in secret over the past century. Dozens of worlds where humans lived and worked, without any alien knowledge. Industrial systems that produced advanced technology. Military bases that trained soldiers in tactics no alien had ever seen. For 100 years, Seo-jun said, we built a parallel human civilization. While the aliens watched our public colonies and thought they knew everything about us, we were creating a second society in the spaces between their territories. The images showed human families living on hidden worlds, human children going to schools that taught advanced sciences the aliens thought were impossible, human workers building machines with capabilities that exceeded anything in the known galaxy. Every human who left council space for exploration or trade was actually helping to build our secret colonies. Seo-jun continued. Every human scientist who worked on basic research was actually contributing to advanced projects the aliens never knew about. Every human diplomat who seemed to cooperate fully with alien policies was actually gathering intelligence for our independence movement, Riamai. Minister Hana took control of the presentation again. The hologram now showed a timeline stretching back 500 years. Every major event in human-alien relations was marked, along with the secret human preparations that had been happening at the same time. This was never a rebellion, Hana said. This was graduation. For 5 centuries we attended the Galactic School of Civilization. We learned everything the aliens were willing to teach us, but we also learned everything they tried to hide from us. She gestured to the timeline. Every year we grew stronger and smarter. Every decade we developed new capabilities. Every century we became more independent. The aliens thought they were watching children grow up slowly under their careful guidance. They never realized they were watching a species that had already surpassed them in most ways. Dr. Taewon activated a new section of the hologram. This one showed comparative technology charts. Human ships versus alien ships. Human computers versus alien computers. Human weapons versus alien weapons. In most categories, Taewon said, human technology is now at least 50 years ahead of the best alien technology. In some categories, we are centuries ahead. The aliens are still trying to solve problems that we solved decades ago. General Wu Jin showed military comparison charts. Human military doctrine is based on flexibility and unpredictability. Alien military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and established tactics. In any direct conflict, human forces would have significant advantages. Chief Scientist Hyerin displayed her dimensional manipulation technology. With our ability to work in multiple dimensions, we can do things that aliens think are impossible. We can hide entire fleets in folded space. We can attack from directions that do not exist in normal reality. We can defend ourselves using barriers that alien weapons cannot even detect.